That's my understanding.
Oh, did he send you? I just got a text.
She just gave us a thumbs up.
He told me to.
That means
Good afternoon, everyone. I will call to order this meeting of the Technical Transportation Committee for Tippecanoe County. Our first item of business is the approval of minutes from the previous meeting. I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion of details? Okay. Hearing to be none, I'll proceed with the vote. All in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. The minutes have been approved. It appears we do not have an NDOT representative present today, so we will move past the access permits item and go straight to the APC progress report. And Doug, it appears that you are our star for quite a while. So you have the floor. You can just go right through this section.
Okay. Next month, I'll bring my guitar and we can all sing songs. How about that? Christmas songs.
That would be wonderful.
I'll do that. So, first off, I'll start out. Last Thursday, DNR held a charrette. It was somewhat of a charrette, but not quite a full charrette. And specifically, they were looking at their visionary trail plan. 2016, they did this exercise and laid out cross-state trails that would connect various communities throughout the state, and that's basically what they did last Thursday. It was rather interesting in that they basically just looked at a few different things. One is that if there were any trails to be removed, they'd like them removed, which is kind of weird because nobody really removes trails. And then the next thing was alignment changes, which does make sense since it's somewhat old. If there were any new regional trails or any trails in fairly new plans to add those. So in our area, there's not very many regional visionary trails. We do have the Big Four and then also the Greenway Trail from Rec, and basically that is it. So maybe it's an opportunity that we need to look in the next long-range plan at a larger picture at where we can actually extend trails to, whether it be to the southwest, to the north, to the northwest, and connect other towns and cities. So that probably would be a good exercise for us. Regarding the 2026 to 2030 tip, a reminder, I'll be sending this out here probably either tomorrow or Thursday, that December 6th is when we need the project information back, the requests. We do have NDOT's project list ready to go, but it's important that we need to get those by the 6th because the next week, that Wednesday, is that when we start the actual public participation process, and we'll roll out the information at the Citizens Participation Committee. At the January tech meeting, we will then look at all of the requests and allocate all of our federal funds. And we're going to actually do something different this year. In December, we're looking at setting up some pop-up locations, and specifically we're going to target grocery stores and even a Walmart. And what we're planning on doing is just setting up for basically 2 hours and show them a map of the projects that are being proposed and then how people can be involved in the decision-making process, especially if they had the ability to allocate all of our funds, what would they do? And just a real quick, simple survey, and then we'll also put the survey out on social media and whatnot So if anybody wants to do it outside of those pop-up input sessions, they're more than welcome to do that. So the TIP is underway and we're moving forward. The next item, the call for project deadline, this is just basically a summary. The awards for the 2024 second round for CCMG, Town of Dayton received almost $500,000 and Tippecanoe County received $1.5 million. Regarding the safety funds that NDOT put notice out earlier this year, they have made a decision as to which projects they are going to fund, but they haven't made a decision yet of when the announcement's going to be made. So once we receive that data information, we'll send that out and let everybody know. And then, of course, Group 4 funding, the deadline is for December 6th, which I believe Stu's going to be applying for those funds. And, of course, the RAISE grant here is coming up. The deadline, I think, is like January, late January or something for that. So it'd be great if we could apply for those funds to build maybe the urban portion of the Big Four Trail. Hint, hint, hint. But anyway, we have this one, and then next year, and then that's it for RAISE funding as far as we know right now. For the NDOT Transit STIP amendment process, we just wanted to make you all aware of this. I know Brian knows quite a bit about it. That, you know, when we process TIP amendments on the highway side, they're fairly good and do it, when we submit it, they do it either that month or the following month. So they're fairly quick about turning that around. But on the transit side, that department only does them quarterly. So the change that we made in October to our TIP, specifically flexing the funds over to them so they could use it for the Paramount improvements, the Paramount intersection Sagamore Parkway improvements. They won't even submit it to Federal Highway until January. So we're trying to figure out why they've decided to do it only on a quarterly basis. So just wanted to make everybody aware of that. For the federal funding update, of course, you have a summary in your packet, the page report. It does show that we did flex the STBG funds officially. And as you see, there's basically nothing else listed in the monthly obligation report on top. That should change next month. We had some fairly good bids. We had a number of projects that were on NDOT's bid letting last Thursday. And I'll just go ahead and jump into that if you don't mind. On the NDOT 18-month letting list, of course, the first project was McCarty Lane, a new traffic signal. The information is on the back in terms of letting. The engineer's estimate was a little over $278,000, and the project was awarded to James H. Drew Corporation for almost the same amount. 7 bids were submitted, and the estimated completion date, May 2nd of 2025. Getting back to the bid lettings for last Thursday, there were several. The first project, the truss reconstruction repair on State Road 225 bridge over the Wabash River. There were 2 bids for that, and unfortunately, even the low bid, which was $9,983,121.46, was well over the engineer's estimate. So at this point, we haven't heard any specific details of what's going to happen with that project. The next 2 projects, 3 and 4, US 52, basically thin deck overlays. There were 2 bids. The low bid was $2.96 million. The engineer's estimate was $3.3 million. So it looks like we're good to go on that. We're going to jump down to number 6, Morehouse Road. There were 6 bidders on this, and they were all very good. So it looks like this is good to go. We have officially sent our federal funding obligation letter to them, so we did obligate the federal funds to that. So the good news is we do have a significant balance of federal funds we need to talk about. How are we going to use them? Basically, we have a balance of $2,255,000.50. So a significant chunk of change. So again, these are 25 funds, so we're going to have to think of how we can obligate these fairly quick, excuse me. Because basically April 1st, we need to have these obligated, April 1st again next year. So we did actually, the balance was larger, believe it or not. So the 527 bridge, this is the bridge on Old US 231, and it was short construction-wise of funding, and not by much. Federal funding-wise, it was like just under 170,000. We did flex federal funds over to that to make it an 80-20. And we also flexed additional federal funds to the construction engineering part. So it's now at an 80-20 match. But still, even doing that, we have a $2.2 million balance that we need to think about. So Natalia, Jeremy, Stu, we got some money. Let's figure out how to spend it. Or obligated, I should say. So that's it pretty much in a nutshell of all I have. Are there any questions or comments? Did I run through it too fast?
Okay. There appear to be no questions or comments. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the quarterly project tracking, and Tim has the floor for that.
Okay, so our first project is the North 9th Street Road Bridge project. So there has been a little bit of a delay in the environmental because NDOT had to do an additional review of Section 106. So Stu has explained that process to us. We understand that it won't necessarily impact the rest of the milestones. So we didn't have any comments on that particular. Stu, if you want to add anything? So then our next project is the River Road at 500 North. So we did not actually receive a report for this one, which was expected. So I believe that should mean that this is closed out and it won't be appearing in any future quarterly reports. All right, that's great. We always like to hear that things are done so we don't have to keep them on this list forever. Thank you, Stu. Moving on to our next project, so Morehouse Road. So phase one, I have heard that the roundabout is supposed to be open to traffic before Thanksgiving, but do we have an exact date on that, Stu? Right. So it sounds like that one is well on track to be finished just about when we thought it was going to be. Okay. Great. Yes. Always like to hear that. Okay, then our next project, of course, is Morehouse Phase 2. So Doug just shared the big news that we just got, of course, about the bids. So some of these numbers are going to be changing next month, which is a good thing. Do you have anything else you wanted to add about this one, Stu? Yeah, well, you win some, you lose some, I guess, right?
Sorry,
Okay.
no comment.
Thank you, Stu. So our next one is Jaeger Road reconstruction. There was a small increase in costs. We know this one is pretty close to being done. Have the POs been closed out for this yet, or are we still working on that?
We've got, that one is at NDOT, there's an asphalt, an HMA bonus they're calculating before it can close, but hopefully that will get done and the construction record will go in and we'll close it before next meeting, because I don't want to do another report.
Yeah, I understand. Okay. Well, we'll see what happens in the next cycle, and we'll hope that we don't see anything for this one. Okay, great. So then our next one is McCutcheon, the pedestrian safety project. We did not have any comments on this. Do you have anything you'd like to add about this project, Stu?
Yeah, that one has been, the construction record, final construction record has been through district and is on to central. And Susie informed me that once the record was in, I could technically have closed it. And so I will close it immediately.
Okay, great. Yeah, it's nice to see that some of these projects you've been working on for a while, you finally can get them off your plate.
Yeah.
Okay, so then starting some of our bridge projects. So our next one is Bridge 64. We did not necessarily have any comments on either this one or the companion project, Bridge 65. But Stu, if you have any comments on either of those two?
They're fine. They're up to a point where now we're just holding them for letting to update the specs. They should be easy.
Okay, good. Thank you. So continuing our bridge projects, of course, we have Bridge 527. There was the small change in costs, as Doug mentioned earlier. There's a little bit of money moving around as part of the surplus we got from the good bid on Morehouse. So we would expect that to change a little bit in our next report. Anything else you want to add to this, Stu?
No, it shifted a couple of months because of utilities, but it'll still be completed by November.
Okay, sounds good, thank you. Continuing with our bridge projects, we do have bridge number 80, which is, again, the first of a pair. So this was just something I noticed in the report itself, that the stage 1 and stage 2 design milestones just weren't listed. There wasn't a date in the report form when I was going through it, so not sure if that was just a thing with you entering it or if something had changed substantially, especially with the stage 2 design. I know stage 1 design has been complete. So maybe just a reporting thing.
Probably. They both got shifted and I was updating the dates because there was a 106 involvement in the one.
Right.
And I might just have missed updating the new completion date.
Right. I wonder if that might be what happened because obviously a lot of the other dates changed as your comment indicates. And that's also true, of course, for the companion project, Bridge 83, which is, basically the same schedule.
It wasn't really affected, but they're
Right.
paired.
Okay. Well, that clears that up. We'll just keep an eye on this for the future. And, if we need to adjust things, fine. And if not, that's fine too. Okay. So then Stu's last project is the county bridge inspections. These seem to be going well. Did get a little additional scheduling information about the phase 2 inspection report. Anything you want to add about this one, Stu?
Phase 2 is in the can and our bridge asset management plan is updated. So we're good.
Okay, thank you. So then we'll
Thank
go
you.
ahead and move on to Lafayette. So our first project for Lafayette is South 9th Street. So the reporting for this looks a little different than it did in the previous quarter. There was a big phasing split, so a lot of the numbers have changed, as well as we have a new report. So we didn't necessarily have too much about this. We were just curious, though, if the ready for contract date should still be 5/25, because that's a little bit farther away than 3 months from 1/26.
Yeah, that may not have gotten changed, so I'll have to look at that.
Okay. And again, we understand this is all in flux, so
Yeah.
I get why it would be this way. Just wanted to double check on that because that's a little bit out of the norm for what we see for these projects. Okay. So then the next one is one of the phases of South 9th Street, the Breckenwood to Ortman phase. So this is, of course, the first time we've gotten this report because of the split. So we didn't have too many comments. Obviously, with the first report, things are still in a little bit of flux. Numbers are going to change. So I don't know if you had any specific comments you thought were important for this phase of the project, Jeremy?
No, I thought I had put in a little more information than that, and that I was looking back at my report. But it'll be in the next quarterly report. We'll update it quite a bit, so.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, and like I said, we understand that anytime you get a first report, that's always something that's a little bit in flux, and it'll develop as things go on, and that's okay. So that our next project, again, the next part of the South 9th Street, this is the Ortman to Veterans Memorial phase, and the comments are just the same. So I guess I would assume then that that's kind of going to be
Yeah, this is for the local portion. This
Right.
is the sewer. Yeah. Yeah, I went from doing one report to doing 4 for this project, so. So the same thing for the next one that's the bridge.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, so again, with a lot of first reports, we'll just kind of keep an eye on this, and if we do have any specific questions, or of course, Jeremy, if you need any help, you got our contact info, so feel free to reach out with any updates and tip stuff you need for this one.
Okay.
Okay, so this next one, I believe, actually should be removed because we did not receive a report for this.
Right.
But
That's
we-
been closed out with
Yep.
NDOT.
Yep.
So.
So we do like to always double check on that. So thank you for confirming that that is going to be closed. And we'll see if that'll cycle around sometime when the funding's a little more favorable. Okay. Then our next project is the intersection signal preemption project. So we are a little close on some of the milestones like the environmental report. And also has a consultant been selected for this? I didn't see one in the report.
Not yet.
Okay.
We got the LOIs and we're in the process of scoring those.
So do you think that's going to delay anything, or do you anticipate this being on schedule?
I think we have to get the consultant on board and then start going through some of these deadlines and figuring out if there's things we have to push back or not.
Okay, that makes sense. We do, of course, just want to make sure we hit funding within each fiscal year. So, if that is going to be an issue, please do let us know as soon as you know. Okay, so that concludes Lafayette. So we'll move on to West Lafayette. So our Soldiers Home Phase 1 project, as we've discussed a few times the past few meetings, this project does have some scheduling and timeline issues with getting the federal funds we wanted to get in within this fiscal year, and it looks like that's not going to be able to happen. So we don't necessarily have any comments about that. We know that, meetings are kind of ongoing. So this is just something, we're keeping an eye on. We're trying to find a new home for the federal funds we initially had planned to obligate for this phase of the project. Do you have any additional comments you want to make, Natalia?
No.
All right. So there's that one. The next one, of course, is tied to that. So we basically just had the same comments. Again, understanding that all this is tied together and that there is some work going on behind the scenes to track this and make sure that, we catch up as best as we can to the schedule eventually, even though we're going to miss the fiscal year funding deadline for part of this. So I'm assuming you don't have any comments, but I would like to give you the opportunity if you do have something you want to say about this one. All right, and we'll go ahead and move on to the next one. Okay, so this is Soldiers Home Road from Hamilton to Calbear. So we will continue to kind of monitor the schedule for this one. Understanding is also a little bit dependent on what happens with the previous phase. Any comments on this one, Natalia?
No, we haven't really looked at this one yet.
Okay, and then our last project, the Sagamore Parkway Trail. So we are happy that the ribbon cutting for the joint portion of this project occurred on the 29th. So that was great to hear. Do you have any additional comments you wanted to make on this one?
No, the contractor is just still working on a few punch list items, and the trail should be complete hopefully within the next couple months.
Okay, so that should cover all of the reports for this quarter. Thank you, everyone, for helping us go through those. Are there any additional final comments that we may have missed about anything or any questions from anyone? All right, I'll take that as a no and hand it back over to Dr. Dunstan.
All right, thank you, Tim. Our next item is other business. Is there any other business anyone has to bring before the committee today? There appears to be none. The next space we have on the agenda is for citizen comments. There appear to be none. So our final item is adjournment, and I will entertain a motion for that.
I move we adjourn.
Do I have a second? Thank you for the second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. I'll call this meeting adjourned. The next meeting will be, what's the date? I don't have it down here. Okay, that looks right. Looks like it should be December 18th. Okay, look forward to seeing you then.